So, it's a beautiful Sunday morning in July. We'll do the annual walkthrough the same way we do every year, starting from the back door, looking round, walking down the garden, and then finishing off at the end. So, we're filming this about a month earlier than normal, so normally I do it in sort of mid-August, around my open days, but this year we've just been slapped with a hosepipe ban. So rather than waiting another month or so before doing the video when the garden might dry out, I thought I'd take the opportunity to do it now whilst the garden's been well watered. But the plants are looking very good, even though we're a month earlier than normal. And we'll start with a bed to the right as we come down the first steps, and we have this wonderful palm tree here. This is a Trachycarpus Nova, a very fast-growing, large-leaved Trachycarpus. It's growing really well, got a beautiful trunk on that, as we can see here. That's flowered again as normal. Below it we have a much smaller Trachycarpus, very slow growing but very rare, Gemini sectus. Pushed out one leaf so far. I expect it will probably finish the year with 2.5 leaves, because it's a very slow growing palm tree. Got Yucca gloriosa variegated, Bamboo fagicia down there, and then we have the magnificent Bootia aries spatha. At this time of day, because it's very early morning, it's in shade, but as soon as we get to mid-morning, this will be in full sun until the end of the day, maximising photosynthesis and growth. And beautiful arching leaves on this, really glorious foliage. One of my favourite feather palms in the garden, and proved to be extremely hardy with hardly any spotting on the leaves. So a beautiful palm tree. And as we look up, probably can see the silhouette of very unusual plants of Pseudopanax, Ferox and Crassifolius. The Ferox is actually flowering up there. I'll probably do a different video looking at that so we can get some detail of those flowers and how the leaves are changing, but a wonderful, unusual statement plant for the garden. And then as we go around here, we can see the main part of the garden where we've got two large bamboos. We've got the Brinda 1046. This is the original plant here, which takes up a huge part of this part of the garden. And then over here we have a division of that original Brinda 1046, and that's made a considerable plant in its own right. It's a clump forming bamboo, but it does obviously come out and splay at the top, and that's about 4-5 metres tall, something like that, even though at the base it's only about a metre and a half wide on this one. And then the one over here, it's probably double that size, a good couple of metres across, and it's probably at least 5 metres tall and splaying out. So thinking about planting this bamboo, give it lots of space even though it's not a runner. And then before we get to the main, what's normally a jungle part of the garden, although it has been changed this year, let's just look at a couple of stunning palms in this border. And these are the Trachycarpus princeps. Absolutely stunning leaves on these, with the white undersides, beautiful form. These fan palms are doing great work in this part of the garden. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous. And these are in shade, like I said, at this time of day. It's very early morning. As soon as you get the sunlight hitting these leaves, you see this stunning white underside, and you can just start to see there. Absolutely beautiful, one of my favourite palms in the garden, well worth hunting out if you want a stunning, sort of unusual looking fan palm that's very hardy. So that's Trachycarpus princeps. And then we come to the main bed, which, like I said, has been changed this year, ready for its complete overhaul next year. So we've got dahlias, these come back year after year. We've got nasturtiums, and these again come back from seed every year. And this part of the garden this year is a mixture of colourful returning plants like the cannas and the dahlias, Got the annuals like the nasturtiums and zinnias, and then we've got lots and lots of vegetables. So a bit of a difference from normal. So we'll just go through here. Normally, if this was filmed in July, I'd expect some big cannamusa here, but they've been very slow this year, and we're a month earlier. So we've got the cannamusa they're only about 50 to 70 centimetres tall. We did get -7 last winter, so probably was a bit of a struggle for them to come back with any great vigour. But it's been hot, so I expect them to come back strong now they've come out of the ground. And then we'll go past the Berinda, and we'll go down the path. And then before we get to the main bed to the right, we'll look to the left and we can see the wonderful tree ferns. These were planted as very small plants, but now are large-ish ferns. The trunks themselves down here, they've grown from 15 centimetres, now they're about 60-70 centimetres tall, something like that in terms of the trunk size. So they do grow with a decent amount of speed in terms of trunk height year on year. You know, a good 5-10 centimetres every year. So, you know, as long as they're well watered in a good spot, they will do well for you. Got one further back doing not so well because it's much drier there, but again that's still growing well. Beautiful arching leaves on these tree ferns, very prehistoric looking. I wouldn't be without them in the garden. Obviously with the hosepipe ban, I'll be watering these with the watering can every day now, just to keep that luscious growth going well. We've also got brugmansia here. So yeah, look at those trumpet flowers there, absolutely gorgeous. You can see them. Really wonderful perfume on these as well. Very exotic, but obviously very poisonous, so have to be careful of those. More tree ferns here. And then above them all, we've got another Trachycarpus nova in the shade, and Fatsia polycarpa, Fatsia japonica in there. And then up here, we have got a Fortini, so Trachycarpus Fortini, which is getting pretty tall now. Been set in seed, which got seedlings underneath, and then above that, look at that, Calipanax, huge tree now, with its thorny trunk and branches. Now we could go in there, but it's a bit difficult with a camera, but I'll just go underneath and just show you. If we look down here, there we go, Trachycarpus seedling in front of the tree fern, and all over under the leaf litter we've got more seedlings as well as other plants and ground cover plants and ferns down there as well. So that's that part of the garden. I'll just come back up. We've got the bamboo hedge, Fargesia robusta here, going all the way down with the Fatsias intermingled here. And then let's just step back again so we can see more brugmansias here. And then look at these gingers. This is Forestii. I did a video about, was it 3 weeks ago? And I was saying these were about, 40-50 centimetres tall. Now look at them. If we go down to ground level and then up, we can see they have grown in 3 weeks. Now they're close to 2 metres tall. So fantastic growth with this hot weather we've been having. So they'll be flowering in August and September, but it's the foliage I grow these plants for. They'll come back year after year, very hardy, and wonderful, wonderful foliage. Fantastic ginger, well worth hunting out. Now, back closer to ground level, if we come down, you can see these zingy lime coloured persicarias all down here. We've also got some begonias mixed in. Some nice orange flowers there. And a begonia fuchsioides, which is actually in a pot. But it's a beautiful line of exotic looking foliage, even though most of that is extremely hardy. On this side, a couple of things coming back. Look at this. Let's go down and show you. That is a Colocasia Galligensis has come back, and there's another part of it just here as well, just growing out from the side. So that's proved hardy. More ginger here, more Forestii. And then we've got the annual colour of the Irisine. I say annual colour, it's a perennial, but I take cuttings every year, put it into a glass of water in autumn, and then plant out in spring after all the rest of frost is over. But it's not the normal planting in the rest of this bed. We've gone vegetables, we've gone squashes, courgettes. So we've got lots and lots of veg in this bed this year. And you can see they're growing really well, covering the ground. We've got sunflowers, we've got dahlias, nasturtiums intermingled. So when I've talked about having vegetables and flowers, this is what I mean. And we've got some interesting ones here, so let's have a look. I mean, they are exotic and tropical in terms of they're not hardy. That's why we grow them as summer veg. Look at that, I've got some round courgettes there, which are really tasty. Had a few of those already. And they're just, you know, with the tropical, vine we have here, they do sort of add a bit of exoticness, even though they are vegetables. Here we have a tobacco plant that's just self-seeded from previous years. I've done nothing, that's just come back and grown in this spot. We do have some Canna Alisteinii. Some of it looks a bit ropey, so it may be virused or may have some other issue. So this will be dug up anyway. So this whole area, which is vegetables this year, will be actually returning to a family lawn. So this will be a lawn next year. So all this area will be dug up. That's why it's mainly annuals. We do have a bit of a Mesia zygomaris there. If you remember from earlier videos, I dug that up and divided it. So most of that is in pots. That's just a little bit that's been left in the ground. But that will be fully dug up. All this area will be re-landscaped and re-lawned basically in this area. But you can see the vegetables continue through here, and I think with the nasturtiums it's this nice colourful mix of edibles and ornamentals here, and it looks good for this summer. And now I've got the hose pipe ban, I can continue watering the vegetables and I don't have to worry too much about other plants because I haven't got the usual exotics that I have here. Anyway, beyond that I've got the jungle hut and a fantastic, impressive Schefflera here, which is towering over the plants around it. It gives a bit of shade to the jungle hut, a bit of privacy, and it looks majestic in this sunlight this morning, looking really good. The eucalyptus trees poking behind the jungle hut right at the end. So just turn around, here's another look at the ginger Forestii, which is covering this corner of the garden. Really bold presence and so easy to grow. And then we'll walk down. I say walk down the path. If we actually look down, we can see we haven't really got a path now. It's just nasturtiums we're walking through. But we've got the Aralia variegata there. We've got the Gunnera cryptica behind it, which will be suffering without having regular watering now. And down here we have got some beautiful daisies, which the bees, the hoverflies, the butterflies have absolutely adored. And because we're doing this video a month earlier, we get to see more of these flowers because they're normally fading by the time I do this video. So this is a wonderful daisy. Bumblebees love it, as well as the honeybees. Then if we just look up, we've got more fatsias here in the bamboos. Unusual forms here. And then we'll go around and we'll just go past the jungle hut, or into the jungle hut should I say, which the birds have been loving this area a bit too much, as you can see from the mess in here. But this is a view if you're sitting in the jungle hut. We look back, we've got that view out, which I think is very nice. This is my line of Trachycarpus palms, which we'll do in a video later in the year, seeing how they've grown this year. We have had one loss of the original species Trachycarpus, which we'll talk about when we do that year review of the Trachycarpus, which is probably November time, something like that. But beautiful view out that side. This side again, apart from the spade in the middle, got another beautiful view. And as we go around, we look at this vista and we get the Gunnera and the Miscanthus giganteus. Again, looking at that side, we get a first peek at the Jabea in the distance, and then finally, through the final opening of the jungle hut, we get the Trachycarpus, Princeps, and Fortunii and Yucca over the pond. So let's head back out of the jungle hut, back into the main part of the garden, and we'll see the view back. I still think it looks pretty impressive, even though we haven't got some of the usual plants in here, no ricinus and tophonias, etc. I think the mixture at low level of the annuals and the squashes and courgettes, and at high level we've still got the height from the scheffleras, the palm trees, the gingers. I still think it's a very nice tropical exotic looking view down the garden towards the house. Let's turn round past the loquat tree, which we had to cut back a lot because it had fallen over in the wind. I've just propped it up. And we get to the cryptica. So Gunnera cryptica, huge leaves. I've had to cut a lot off. You can see it is suffering a bit with the drought. So we've got some crispy leaves starting to appear at the edges here where watering's not kept up. We've still got some huge leaves. I mean, that, I'm looking up here, I'm 2 metres tall. That's well above me. So that's, 2.5, 3 metres tall to the top of that leaf. Absolutely enormous leaves on very, very long petioles or stems. Miscanthus not at full height yet, but it's well over 2 metres tall, so still doing very well at this time of year. And we've got the zebra grass as well in front of the jungle hut, to show you that. That's looking good, with his Antidecia in front of it. And now it's time to go over the bridge. I've turned off the waterfall for now so you can hear me better. And as we go through the grasses, we see the view towards the main feature plant in this part of the garden, which is the Jabea chilensis, the Chilean wine palm. Absolutely majestic. And if you're planting this plant in your garden, just remember it's huge when it gets going. This is easily over 4 metres wide, if not 5 metres wide at ground level, with the leaves arching down to ground level. And it's a good 4 or 5 metres tall, so it's a huge, huge plant. So you need a very large space in the garden for this. Now, before we go down that part of the garden to the arid section, let's look at the waterfall, which again is off at the moment, but it's just down there. And just look how much everything's grown up this year. We've got the Trachycarpus palms to the left. We've got the Xanthodicias down there in the water. We've got the Tinctorias here. Gunnera tinctorias. We've got the Fatsia polycarpa. We've got the climbers, the ramblers going over there. So we've got the Clematis almandii. We've got some hydrangeas down there as well. So we've got all sorts, and it's sort of covering the stonework, covering that area, covering sort of next door's fence and pergola, and it really adds the sort of exotic feel to this part of the garden, which is relatively shaded because of all the foliage down there. But when that water falls on, it looks absolutely superb down there. Beautiful. Beautiful blue skies we've got. And then as we look to the other side, we have got more persicaria, grasses. Obviously the pond needs a bit of a clean out here. And this area with the yuccas by the water, a bit of a juxtaposition there, but they do well by the water. And then we did have an archway a few years ago which went. Now we've still got the chocolate vines, the Kiba, both sides, very vigorous, and they're climbing along the railings here over the bridge. So I do need to keep cutting those back. And now it's time to walk over the bridge Again, look at wonderful Jabea, but we have got some plantings near it and underneath it. So if I just come down, we've got a little Nephophia there. Sorry, we've got a little Nephophia there. We've got a Stelia Red Devil, which is very old now. Had that since my previous house. That's well over 15 years old. Very hardy, nice coppery silver foliage there. We've got a bed of Colocasia pink chinas that have come back. These are much smaller because they've not been watered, so they've not done as well as some of the other Colocasias in the garden. And then we'll go around that way in a minute, but for now we'll go around to the left and we can see we've got more Colocasia pink chinas. We've got the amaranthus that just self-seed. And I'll stand back up. We've got some more flowers. So we talked about what were these flower heads a few videos ago. Now we can see it's an allium, summer drummer I think it's called. I'll correct that on screen if that's wrong. But these are 2 meters tall flower heads, wonderful to see, adding a bit of lilac-y purple colour to this part of the garden. Down here we have still got some Xanthodecia. I think this is pink mist. It's a bit more unusual compared to normal white Xanthodecias. They've got the pink throats in there. Just fading a bit now, but wonderful flowers to see. The other Nephophia northii, or similar, has finished flowering. And then we've got this view down the path. So we've got the New Zealand privet hedge, which gives some privacy and stops the wind coming in at low levels. Before we get further down the garden, I'll show you some buds of a wonderful hydrangea. And this is one I think was called Summer Chocolate. And this has got really nice foliage. If you look at these leaves here, look at the sort of purple underneath. Really nice foliage. Just sprawls about in different directions, this plant, and then flowers. That's really nice. We'll come back to the main path and then we'll go down. It's hard to see where I'm going here. There's bright sunlight now in this part of the arid garden. To the right and down we've got the Chimerops thyrifera, very ground hugging specimen here. It's covering over 2 meters in width, but it's only about 50-60 centimeters tall. So that's a really nice specimen there. And then if you look here, we have got the Yuccas linaris, linifolia, massive spherical ball of bluish leaves. And then you can see to the right, dominating the frame, is a huge flower spike which is covered in loads of honeybees. We'll get a close look at that in a second. That's the Desilarion that's flowering. That's a good 4 or 5 meters tall now. Absolutely enormous flower spike. Fantastic for pollinators and very unusual to see. So we'll go down the path. Got some gingers. We come to another bed here. This is just does its own thing every year. So it's amaranthus, comes back year after year. Got the Colocasia pink chinas, and we've got a wonderful Tigridia flower, a bulb that comes back year after year, does self-seed a bit as well, and we get various different colour combinations, pinks, whites, almost sort of very dark pinks, and yellows and oranges, so really nice speckled throats and that as well. And then we've got the proper arid section. So this time of day, sun's not quite up yet. Some things are in shade, some things aren't. We've got the Briar and Martyr, absolutely stunning, the most silvery blue palm you can reliably grow in the UK, I would say. And this is getting big now. It's got a decent trunk on it. If I just carefully step through, if we look down, we can see that trunk down there in the shade. Quite a chunky one now. We've got the Agave montanus by the side of it. Nice, robust architectural plants, pretty hardy as well, as I've been here a good 10 years now. And I'll just step through here. We've got another linearis. We've got some other interesting things. We've got little cacti here. Look at that one, that's been out a few years, just getting on with it. Got a puntia down there. We've got the agapanthus in bud. They'll be flowering in a few weeks' time. And then you've got the big chunky trunk of the gibbea. Look at that, big fat trunk on that. And there we go. Beautiful, beautiful palm tree up there in silhouette. Come looking into the sun. Beautiful. Then let's come round, spin round, nearly fall over. We've got down here more Agave montana, which has been crowded out a little bit by this Agave americana that's survived many winters now in the ground. We've got this here, we've got this Chimerops vulcano, which has suffered actually for the first time with winter spotting of the leaves, because it was so wet, one of the wettest winters we've had, even though it's been dry since January, February. So I might have to cut off quite a few of those leaves for the first time, because I've never touched the leaves of that, it's just gone on with it. I think I might have to now. And now it's time to get a closer look at this flower spike of the Desilarium. So if I just get close in, I'll do a pan up, and we can see it. Look at that, look at the bees on that. Absolutely loads of bees. Loving it. Huge thing. Let's look up there. Huge flower spike. There's probably about 50 bees on that right now. Amazing. Anyway, back to here. So let's go which way? Okay, so let's have a look at the Desilarium at the base. That's the plant itself. You can see how it's flowering now. It looks a bit worse for wear while it's flowering, but it will recover. We've got the Yucca Faxona, big chunky yucca here. Nice foliage, nice new foliage on that. And now I think if we'll get past the bees, we'll come back to the main path. Over here, and if we look up we can see another Bootia, and this is Bootia odorata, absolutely huge plant now, grown from a very small specimen in a small pot, planted out and looking glorious here, covering this part of the garden. It's a good 3.5 meters tall, if not more, and it's again same wide as well. Now obviously, early in the year we started my series of developing the bottom of the garden, and since my last video at the end of May, early June, I've done nothing down here. That is because the edging I want, which is this cotton steel edging here, it's unavailable at the moment, so I can't continue this part of the garden because I need all that edging to go down my gravel paths down here, which I've not filled in. But not to worry, we can see the route it's going to take. You can see how, if you're watching this, just the annual videos, normally we take a right and go across here, but that path's been taken out. So we're going to go further down the garden, down here. Here we took out a big bamboo, and I thought I got it all, because the main plant was over there, but there was a runner, and a little bit I missed off. Here we go, with the parvifolia. So I'll be pulling that bit up, but I think I've done really well to get all of it out apart from that little bit, so that's not too hard now to get rid of that small part. Eucomis there, I should say, got loads more Eucomis down here, getting ready to flower, as well as Arisemas. Wonderful plants, really nice foliage. And then actually, let's just look back down here, see the Bryomata, the arid part of the garden, looking wonderful. So let's come back round, back to the path again. So we've got sparse plants in here because we're changing this part of the garden to more dry planting overall. But we have got a ginger down here that I do need to move. That ginger needs to move because it's struggling because of the dryness down here, and the regerstia that needs moving again because it's dry down here. Got big open space to my right between the palm trees we have cleared. But above we do have the Trachycarpus princeps, and we've got the tree ferns that we moved. So here to the left we've got some couple of tree ferns between the Trachycarpus, and at ground level I've actually got lots of new ferns I'm going to plant here. Ferns normally like moisture, but these are all Dryopteris ferns. So dry indicates actually that it doesn't mind, it will tolerate drier conditions. It doesn't want super dry, but it will tolerate drier conditions, which is what this part of the garden's like. So these will be planted out once I've decided on a planting plan, and I've done my levels down here. This is one of the double-headed tree ferns you can see. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful foliage in the dappled sunlight here. So keeping these well watered, concentrating my efforts on watering obviously the vegetables and the tree ferns while I've got the hosepipe ban. And then this area's opened up more now because there was tree ferns right here, but we've moved them. Still got the tree ferns in this area, but we've opened up where there's going to be this path. You can see all the leaves that have come over this area of MOT base that I've put down, which needs to raise up and level. So down here we rarely get to see this area. We've got the Fatsia variegator looking good. Got some bamboos and the hawthorn hedge behind. More tree ferns to the right. That's a very nice one. Good 2 metre long fronds or leaves on that one. It's a little double header as well. And then if we look across to our left, we've got Aspiditra there. We've got the hardy palapalm, the Chimadoria radicalis, which we rarely mention. And again, more tree ferns. So this area, like I said, is work in progress. You know, we've not got loads of plants in here. We'll plant up this area once we've done the levels, because the path I'm on needs to be higher. Let's just turn around so you can see what I'm talking about. If we look back to the actual gravel path, the edging needs to be completely level. It can't go up and down. So this path here is gradually come down, so I need to pack on more MOT base so it's nice and level, and then it can follow around, come round here to this open area which we're working on, and this is going to be completely changed to a seating area, and maybe some wildlife plants down here as well. But for now we've got the backdrop of all the bamboos, which will remain, and the eucalyptus trees above. Got Chiskea there, we've got Shanghai 3, Prominums, all sorts, and another bootia there as well. So all sorts of nice hardy evergreen plants. And because these are well established, don't need to really water these. They might not do as well as I could do with more water. That's just the trade-off I've got without having to water everything down the back of the garden. And then that's another view of that wonderful tree fern there, edging what will be the finished path. We've got the eucalyptus trees. Look at that one, beautiful, stunning, creamy white bark. And if we pan up, we can see how tall it is getting now. Look at that wonderful, wonderful dappled shade it gives. Really, really nice. And if I just turn around slowly, we can see the gunnii, we can see the regnans. All the eucalyptus trees are getting taller and taller and taller, which are, what are they, 8-10 metres tall, something like that. They're getting pretty big. Right, let's come back down. Obviously we back onto open fields. You can see there across we've got the fields. We've got a little bird table with seed on there as well. Got so many birds this year. Several nesting, as you've probably seen in earlier videos. And lots of nature, even though it's an exotic garden. So yeah, this part of the garden, we've got some structure in it, but we haven't got that detail of the ground cover because we're waiting to, you know, get those levels in, get those cotton steel edging in. But let's go back this way. Down here, back into the arid section of the garden. Down here, got lots of just odds and sods planted out, lots of aeoniums and cacti and dickeas and things like that, and aloes. And then another Chemrops cerifera. This is more upright form, completely different from the other one. This is really sort of, you know, getting taller and taller, even though it's a very, very slow growing palm tree. Beautiful blue leaves in the summer sun. Got another agave down here. I think you can see that one, looking really nice. Nice tooth edge leaves. And then that's the view back across the arid garden. And we'll come finally round this corner, past the flowering black bamboo. More colour here in the dry part. These salvias, more cacti, more ioniums. And then there we go. That's pretty much the full summer tour of 2025. Hope you've enjoyed this. You can see how it's developed, even though we haven't finished the end of the garden. Lots of flowers, lots of interest, lots of growth in what has been a stunningly hot year so far. We'll go back over that bridge, past the jungle hut. So if you've got any questions about any of the plants, do drop them in the comments below and I'll try to answer as many as I can. And if you're interested in seeing the developments down the garden, please continue to watch my videos, subscribe if you've not done so. And we'll just finish the video now, I think, if we're lucky. More nature. Got a beautiful peacock butterfly. Thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Garden UK. Join me next week as we'll do more in the garden.